Death can happen to any one of us at any time. We all hope for a painless and peaceful death, but unfortunately, some of us receive a horrifying end to our lives. On October 12, 1974, newlyweds Arliss and Bruce Perry got into an argument over the car the couple shared. So Arliss, who was 19 at the time, went to pray alone inside a Stanford Memorial Church in Santa Clara, California. At around 3 a.m., Bruce started to worry because Arliss had never come back home, so he called the police. They checked the building, but all of the doors were locked. A security guard named Stephen Crawford found Arliss's body around 5:45 a.m. near the church's altar. She was found face up with her hands folded across her chest. There was an ice pick lodged in the back of her skull. The handle was broken off and missing. Her body had marks of strangulation and was naked from the waist down. An altar candle was also placed between her breasts as well as inserted into her genitalia. Her jeans she was wearing arranged across her legs in a diamond pattern. Stephen told police that there was no activity in the church, and so he locked up around midnight. When he made his rounds at about 5:45 a.m. to open up the church, he noticed the west side door open, and when he went inside, he found Arliss's body close to the altar. The DNA found in the scene, which included a palm print on one of the candles and semen on a kneeling pillow, did not match Bruce or Stephen. The two men were ruled out as suspects. This murder would end up being a cold case. There were links to Son of Sam and Charles Manson, but neither one of them were convicted of this murder, and neither one of them were able to be linked in any way. Investigators thought that maybe they just saw the crime on the news, that they heard about it maybe through newspapers and claimed to do it, but neither one of them murdered Arliss. In 2018, the case was reopened and a more advanced DNA test was conducted. Stephen was linked to the murder. Masna Ismail was born January 1st, 1956 in Malaysia. She adopted the name Mona Fandy when she was a young woman to gain popularity as a pop singer. Her career never took off, but she did come out with one album called Diana. As an adult, Mona became involved in spiritual witchcraft. She was a popular shaman amongst the upper class society as well as politicians, and she was paid very well for her services, and she was involved in some very dark forms of witchcraft. Mona met a man named Maslin Idris, who was a state assemblyman and wanted to boost his career. Mona, along with her husband Muhammad and her assistant Jarami Hassan, promised to help Maslin by providing him with a magical talisman. Mona convinced Maslin that he would be invincible with her talisman, and in return she demanded 2.5 million ringgits, or about $600,000 US. Maslin would break up the payments to ensure Mona would provide her services and not run off with the cash. While the talisman ritual was taking place, Mona asked Maslin to lay on the floor and close his eyes. She would start covering his face with flowers and tell him to wait for the money falling from the sky. Jarami then decapitated Maslin with an axe. He was found dismembered in a storage facility. Maslin was reported missing July 2nd, 1993, after withdrawing an additional 300,000 ringgits, or about $72,000 US. Mona was reported by police for going on a shopping spree that same day. She purchased a brand new Mercedes-Benz and got a facelift. Mona, Muhammad, and Jarami were arrested when investigators were able to connect where the large sums of money from Maslin's account was going. All three were convicted of murder and given the death penalty. They were all three hung on November 2nd, 2001. On April of 2000, a 10-year-old girl named Candace Newman was traveling with her adoptive mother, Jean Newman, for a 2-week intensive therapy session that cost $7,000. Jean adopted Candace 2 years prior, and the two had major issues at home right away. Allegedly, Candace was killing goldfish and playing with matches, so Jean took her daughter to therapy. When Candace was still not behaving, she was referred to an unlicensed therapist named Connell Watkins. When Candace was still not behaving, she was referred to an unlicensed therapist named Connell Watkins. In the second week of her treatment, Candace would partake in a rebirthing session. This would allow Candace to let go of her previous life with her biological parents and be brought into this new life and have a rebirth. And this is practiced in some states still, but it's illegal in many states. And this is essentially where a parent, an adoptive parent normally, will hold down a child for sometimes a couple hours until the child lets go, stops crying, stops throwing a fit, because of course they're going to be upset if they're being held down. And this allows the child to refer back to a very young age, like infant, toddler-like state, and then they can have a new life with this new family and basically let go of their past life. And this is very looked down upon. This is not used by a licensed therapist. And so during this time, this is what Jean wanted Candace to do. And unfortunately, this session would lead to Candace's death as opposed to her rebirth. Candace was wrapped in a flannel sheet and covered with pillows to simulate a womb and a birth canal. Connell, Jean, as well as Julie Ponder, Britta St. Clair, and Jack McDaniel, who were all unlicensed mental health professionals, all sat on top of Candace and told her to fight her way out of the simulated womb. While they were holding Candace down, she started to complain she couldn't breathe. The complaints turned to pleas and to screams. Candace was not able to escape from the sheets, and she started to cry and say she was dying. Julie Ponder shouted at Candace, quote, "Go ahead, die right now, for real, end quote. Candace vomited and excreted inside of the sheet, and the group continued to sit on her. 40 minutes into the session, Candace was asked if she wanted to be reborn, and she faintly responded, quote, "No." Julie again shouted at Candace, quote, "Quitter, quitter, 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 quit, 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 quit. She's a quitter," end quote. Jean felt rejected by the fact that Candace said no to being reborn, as she was visibly upset, so Connell asked Jean to leave the room, as well as Britta and Jack. Connell and Julie unwrapped Candace from the blankets and saw that she was lying in her own bodily fluids. Jean returned to the room and noticed Candace's color and began CPR. They called 911 immediately. Paramedics were able to revive Candace because she was unconscious when they arrived, but she was declared brain dead at the hospital caused by asphyxiation. This entire session was recorded and used as evidence in the trial. Connell and Julie both received a 16-year prison sentence. Britta and Jack were given 10 years probation and 1,000 hours of community service because of a plea bargain. Jean was given a 4-year suspended sentence, after which the charges were expunged from her record. Connell paroled in 2008, but she is restricted from counseling work as well as contact with children. On December 2nd, 2010, a woman named Phoebe Handstroke was found at the bottom of a garbage chute in her apartment building in Melbourne, Australia. Her body was discovered by the maintenance staff of the prestigious apartment complex, and the police were investigating when her boyfriend Anthony Hampel was alerted by a food delivery worker that the building was swarmed with police. Anthony was home for quite some time before he thought it was a big deal that Phoebe was missing. Her purse, keys, and key fob to get into the building were left behind, and she left candles burning as well as her flat iron plugged in. Anthony was also very strict about the apartment cleanliness. He demanded that the apartment was orderly and clean at all times. He also noticed there was glass and blood on the floor, and that their dog had been chewing up pillows all over the apartment. Phoebe's family and friends have noted that she would have never left the apartment that way without cleaning up first, because Anthony would have gotten very upset if it was such a mess. When Anthony went to where the police were investigating, he said right away that his girlfriend was missing. They were able to identify the body as Phoebe from pictures Anthony provided, as well as a couple having a matching tattoo. Phoebe went down a small garbage chute that descended 12 floors. Her right foot was severed, and she bled to death trying to find her way out of the compactor. The coroner ruled it a suicide, calling it a bizarre accident. He claimed Phoebe was fueled by alcohol and a sleeping pill called Stilnox. Phoebe's family pushed for further investigation, and it has been proven time and time again that Phoebe would not have been able to climb in the garbage chute by herself and not leave behind any evidence. When investigators dusted the area for fingerprints, there were none, not even of the hotel staff. Many people feel that Anthony partook in her murder or even hired a hitman. The couple separated and got back together several times in the months prior to Phoebe's death, and apparently Anthony was very controlling. Anthony Hampel is the founder of a live events agency in Australia. He is very wealthy and has a lot of connections. He is also thought to be responsible for the death of another girlfriend named Bailey Schneider, who broke up with Anthony just a few hours before her death. Anthony has been cleared of both murders, but Phoebe's family believe that someday the truth will come out. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up, as well as subscribe if you like true crime and genuinely just creepy, unusual crimes. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day and be safe. Bye-bye.